Watch out, there's a cyclist coming fast. So we're outside the prebendal manor house of Masham. Masham's oldest surviving building. Construction dates back to 1158. So according to English Heritage, one of only 30 or so properties in England of that age still in private hands. So dating all the way back to 1158. And it had an elevated first floor courtroom, which was the courtroom of the Old Peculier of Masham. So it's time I told you what the Old Peculier of Masham was. It dates back to when the Crusades, in fact, when Roger de Mowbray was the local landowner, and he fought in the Battle of the Standard in 1138, defeated the Scots, but then he went off to the Holy Lands to fight in the Crusades, and unfortunately he was captured by Saladin, and he was held to ransom for 7 years by Saladin over in the Holy Land, and eventually the Knights Templar paid his ransom money to get him released, and he was so grateful that he donated the living of the prebend of Masham, which he previously was entitled to himself, to the Cathedral and Metropolitical Church of St. Peter in York, i.e. York Minster. So he gave the riches of Masham, at least the 10% of the riches of Masham, to York Minster. Now York Minster would then have to administer Masham. At least they would have to run the ecclesiastic court in Masham here to maintain more law and order, because the church was responsible for law and order in those days. But the Archbishop didn't want to have to come every month to preside over the court in this building here. He therefore appointed the Masham to become a peculiar, which doesn't mean strange, it means particular in Norman French. It's peculiar, IER, and so it was a special place that ran its own ecclesiastical court, and the courtroom sat in the upper floor of this building here, the prebendal manor house of Masham. So the Old Peculier, the seal of the Old Peculier, was the seal of the court when it made its decisions. There was some reenactment going on in the marketplace earlier today. I don't know if any of you saw it. They were reenacting some of the trials which took place. I've got some of the offences which were dealt with. So not coming to church enough, keeping a hat on at communion, bidding the church wardens to do their worst on being asked to go to church, not bringing children to be baptised, husband and wife living apart, drunkenness, swearing, fornication, brawling and scolding, harbouring Roman Catholic priests, and carrying a dead man's skull out of the churchyard and laying it under the head of a person to charm them to sleep. So they were all actual trials which took place in this courtroom, and they were reenacted earlier today in the church and the marketplace. So very, very old. It's likely that Cardinal Wolsey, during Henry VIII's time, on his travels around to assess the wealth of the church, see if it was worth looting by Henry, would have probably visited this building, this very building, and maybe even stayed here overnight. So very old building. If we just take a look in the driveway here, you can see a mullioned window and a circular chimney, which highlights just how old it is. So if you come here, you can see a very, very old circular chimney, and you see a very fine mullioned window there, so you get a real impression of age on this side, just what an old building it is. And then on the other side, we'll walk past, you'll see it had an elevated doorway up on the first floor, and that was typical of medieval buildings. For safety and security, the main doorway was up on the first floor.